Today, we're going to talk about the special gift that you have if you are one of the chosen ones. Now, before I explain what that is, let's talk about this word, or this terminology, I should say, chosen one. Let's just talk about that for a second. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here about what this is. The fact is, we don't really know exactly where we came from as far as why we find ourselves on this kind of spiritual journey, right? So you know you're different, like right off the bat, right? And we're going to get into that more in just a minute, what that special gift is. But you know you're different. You know you're on a spiritual journey. So what is it? Are we a chosen one? And if that's true, who chooses us? And does that mean that we're better? Because I don't want to perpetuate any holier than thou attitudes. So is that what it is? Or is it you're an old soul? You've reincarnated like 1,000,000 times. Or you're one of the 3 waves. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard about this phenomenon, but the person who uncovered that was Dolores, and I'll link a video down below, an interview that appeared on Greg Braden's channel recently, where he where she, Dolores Cannon, explains how she came to this conclusion about the 3 waves of spiritual helpers that are coming down to earth to bring in a higher level of consciousness. Okay, so is that what it is? Is it we are chosen somehow? Is it that we're an old soul? Is it that we're one of the 3 waves? Is it that we're a star seed? Like, what is it? You know what I mean? And here's the thing. There's going to be a lot of people in the comments down below, and I want you to do this. I want you to discuss this. Like, where did that come from? Do you have any ideas about what it could be for you or for other people? But ultimately, my question, because you guys know how I'm always thinking scientifically about things, which means, okay, do you got any proof? Like, how do you know which one of these things it is that makes us different, that makes us this kind of chosen one, this higher consciousness kind of person, and you always knew that you were different, even when you were a little kid? You know you're different. What is it? Were we chosen? Are we an old soul? I don't know if anybody knows how to answer that question for sure. Like, for sure I can say that it's this one phenomenon. So you kind of see why I'm even having a discussion about this terminology. You're a chosen one. Is that what it is? And again, I don't want you to sink your teeth into that kind of terminology too much. Like, to say I'm a chosen one, because it sounds kind of like arrogant, right? And I know that's not where you're coming from. But again, this deeper discussion of, well, is that what it is? Or is it I'm an old soul? Or is it something? And how would you know, right? So here's my takeaway from that conversation. Nobody knows for sure. How could you? What it is that makes us different. All you know is you are different. So whatever it is, you're a chosen one, you're a star seed, you're one of the 3 waves, you know, whatever that mechanism is that caused us to be here. It is absolutely true that there is a massive awakening of consciousness taking place on planet Earth today. And if you're watching this video, you're one of those. So whatever the label is that you want to pick, okay, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. We know that we're different, and that doesn't mean that we're better. We're not, we're not cocky about it. We're not arrogant. As a matter of fact, that is exactly what makes you a chosen one, or a star seed, or awakened one, or whatever it is. that is causing us to be that kind of different spiritual person, a higher consciousness. That doesn't mean better than. It just means you're more aware. You see things for the way they are. So let's talk about what that is. How do you know you're one of these? Well, first, you're watching this video. That, I think, if you're drawn to this kind of information, it's because you know. Now, let's go back a long time ago. So when you were much younger, we're talking, you could have been, I don't know, 5 or 6 even. Did you have any strange experiences? And I'll talk about that first, but even if you didn't have any of the strange experiences that I'm about to talk about with you, you knew you were different, and we'll talk about that too. And that is, I think, a better indicator. But let's talk about strange experiences. So you guys, if you're interested, you could go check out my spiritual autobiography. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel here called Kurt's Spiritual Autobiography. And maybe if you watch a couple of those videos, it'll make you feel not so crazy because of some of the experiences that you've had. Because guys, I have had some incredible ones. When I was 5, straight up 5 years old, I had my first out-of-body experience. I was visited by physical angels, physical apparitions. And they left me evidence that I hung on to all the way into my teenage years. So I knew I wasn't making it up. I remember the experience, and they left me a feather. Go watch that video on my spiritual autobiography playlist if you're interested. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is to let you know that if you've had experiences like that, paranormal experiences, ghosts, telepathy, out-of-body experience, even when you were very young, yeah, it's because you're one of these, whatever it is, chosen ones, right? A star seed, whatever it is. There is a massive increase in the number of people on planet Earth that are of this higher level of consciousness. And again, higher level of consciousness does not mean better or holier than thou. In fact, consciousness would never do that. It wouldn't come off with that kind of ego-based attitude. It would just be more aware of its surroundings and the world that it's truly living in. That's all that is. And that brings me to the next thing. And this again could have been something that happened to you when you were very young. Knowing that you're different, you don't fit in. Being an outcast. You know, I had almost no friends when I was a little kid. I was the one that was bullied in school all the time, right? And I'm not jaded off of that experience. And as a matter of fact, I'm even acquaintances, friends with some of the people that did that when I was in high school. You know, we kind of buried the hatchet. But I knew that I was different. I didn't want to do the same things other kids wanted to do. And I couldn't figure out why I don't fit in. And it wasn't like I was a misanthrope. I was never a rebel against society. I didn't know how to integrate. Like humans, they didn't make sense to me. The things that human beings want to do, it just didn't make sense to me. There was no monkey see, monkey do for me. There was no integrating at all. And this bared on even into my teenage years and my 20s and stuff like this, where I felt like I was living in this oppressive system. I didn't want to join the matrix. And then going into my 20s, having a job and like seeing society for what it is, it just cranks out robotic individuals that just plug into the system, plug into the matrix, get a job, go to work, right? Wash, rinse, repeat. Get a job, go to work, get out of bed, have a family, buy a house, all those things, which are not bad things, but they can't think any different. They've got these blinders on. And again, this isn't judgment against these people. We don't feel animosity. We just see it. We see it as a program. All these people like robots, like cogs in a machine, living out their lives in this way, this automated, systematized way of living. And they don't know how to do anything else. And they don't ask any questions. They never question it. They just do it. There's no higher level of thinking. There's no deeper meaning to life for them. And again, it's not judgment, it's discernment. It's your awareness that helps you to see the system. You see the matrix. You see what's going on in the world around you. You see the human struggle, and it's so obvious to you how to fix that. And it starts with this deeper spiritual knowing that for all your life, you could never quite put your finger on it, but you knew it was there. You knew that it was a real thing. And you knew that you were not part of that. You didn't want to partake in any of that either. You know that you're different. And you may even feel like you're here to do something bigger for the world. And that one's difficult for people because they get the impression that to do something bigger for the world, like they have to contribute in some way to help civilization, to get humankind out of this unconscious slumber that it's in. They feel peer pressure from the so-called spiritual community to prove yourself by going out on a flashy mission to save the planet or something like that. And guys, you don't need to do that. That urge that you feel to do something to help humanity, all it needs to be is just you're having an impact on your local circle of influence. That's all that needs to be. You don't need to do what I'm doing, for example, right? Like having a big social media presence, my YouTube channel, tens of thousands of people looking at me every day, my coaching programs, helping thousands of people, cranking out content, I'm writing a book, I'm doing all these things. You don't need to do that. That's just what I'm doing. And if you look at it by the numbers, if you look at it statistically, the number of people that are going to be like embarking on a bigger, more grand scale to help people in the way that I am, it's going to be a smaller percentage of this community of awakened ones, chosen ones, if you will, right? So for most of us on this journey, it's going to be your circle of influence, people that are already around you. And I've got friends, this happens to all the time, who are on this kind of spiritual awakening path. And it's like God just sends them people. They just run into them around town, and it's some person they've never talked to before. And they need my friend's help, my friends that are spiritual like this. And they're so good at helping other people. And they don't even have to do anything. They don't have to try. The person just shows up in their circle of influence. It could be a complete stranger on the street. And it's just something that my friend would say to them that would make all the difference and have such an impact on that stranger's life. Just little things like that. We change the planet. We awaken humans, one person at a time. That's all that you need to do. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.